is not so far away from the physical now, because we start taking the physical from the right perspective, from which is easier to reconstruct the more complicated notion of information. Meaning, for instance, we talk about memory traces, and we build up more and more complicated. So it's a very versatile, rich, confusing, but key notion for understanding the world information, because the world is made by relations, not by things.
Mm-hmm.
In reality is not what it seems. There's a passage that I loved. I even told you about it after I read it, because you go through so much of the book explaining the historical context of quantum gravity and explaining the concepts in very easy to follow terms, which I appreciate. And then late in the book, you say, if, dear reader, you have found the journey so far a little rough, hold on tighter, because we're now flying between voids of air. And then you get into your new ideas, which you said, if the ideas seem confused, it's because the person with the confused mind is me, yourself. That's, first of all, that's something I don't often see in popular science books, is the warning to the reader, like, it's okay to be shaken by this. It's okay to not fully get it. So you gave this warning, and then you expressed ideas that you personally don't have a full concept of. Can you explain a little bit about what that's like, going into territory that is less historically sound and more speculative, and putting your own ideas out on the line like that?
Yeah, I think that there is a lot about the world that is we understand, and there's a lot we don't understand, and it doesn't make much sense to do what we too often do, in my opinion, which is to pretend that we understand the part we don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just my education on my way. I mean, it's not the university professors that teach lecture in physics. They shouldn't pretend that they know everything about it. They don't know about it. And they may be wrong. I mean, they will be teaching things which are wrong. So they should say, look, this is what we understand. This is what I understand. And be aware that there's something wrong. And if there's something confusing, it might well be because it is confusing.
Mm-hmm.
And it might well because the person is confused, or because the community is confused. A good example is quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics is 100 years old, spectacularly successful, used in technological applications everywhere, but it's still confusing. And the fact it's confusing may be good, because it may be that we still haven't got some right way of looking at it. So let's say it's confusing, not hide it. And I think this makes also things easier for the student at the university, or for the reader of a book, who is not presented this, smooth, white, clean piece of stone. Say, this is it, period.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, we are humans. Science is a human activity like everything else. It's dirty, it's imprecise, there are holes. So I think it's better to present what it is.
I think I connected with the idea that you yourself are struggling with these ideas. And, when you read a book by an expert on any subject, you assume the expert knows everything. And for you to say later in the book, here's what I'm grappling with, I think it helps the reader understand that this is a difficult, complex pursuit.
Yeah, my books are a little bit different in spirit from most popular science books, because they also are aimed as a slightly different audience. And in fact, I've remarked from the reactions that I get that the typical reader of science book likes my books less. And the people who like my book are at both the two extreme sides. Are either people who know zero about science, or people who know a lot about science.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand the reason, because I think at these two extreme categories when I'm talking about. However, what I do, the typical science book, it's written for somebody who want to know more and more and more and more and more about some domain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, So you give more details, you give more information. Say, oh, and we know that, and we know that, and we know that, and we know that. And there are kids, nerds that really want to know more and more and more about the neutrinos and all the possible details about that. I don't do that. Zero. I do the opposite. I take away. I strip away as much as possible, trying to reduce to what seems to be the core that we have understood about something, and to present it in a way that it stays together. It holds on and allows the reader to understand what it is and what seems to me the real thing we have understood. And then, of course, those who know nothing about science, they like it because they say, oh, great, I get to the idea. And those who know a lot about science also like it because they say, oh, wow, that's a good way of viewing things. Maybe I didn't think this way. Maybe I was thinking the other way. That's a new perspective on things. And a lot of my best colleagues tell me, I read your book. Wow, I didn't think about this way of putting it. Great, I've learned something. I'm not going to tell his name, but even my greatest enemy, the chief of the opposite, banned theoretical physics, who is a Nobel Prize winner, sent a message to me saying, fantastic, the little book, I loved it. Yeah. Right? So this is but the student of physics who just studied that at school reads what I'm saying and get nervous because say, wait a minute, I mean, there's all missing here. I got an email say, you talk about quantum mechanics in the 7th lesson. You don't even mention the Schrödinger equation. I thought, yeah, that's right. I don't mention the Schrödinger equation, but that's not the core of the story, right? So, yes, and this connects to your question, what you were saying before, because to do that, you need to understand something all the way through. So once we have totally digested something, then you can just bingo in one phrase.
You can whittle it down to the essence.
To the essence, right? I mean, take Copernicus. If you read the book of Copernicus, it's 300 pages of calculations, detail, geometry, perspective. It's horrendously complicated. And the equant, and he has the epicycles still, and this and this and that, and to make this complicated. The moon is complicated. What is it? 400 years have gone from Copernicus. Now we have digested everything, right? You can say in 2 lines. The Earth is spinning and is moving around, is orbiting around the sun. That's what Copernicus has clarified. Right. Okay? So it's totally clear. It's strange if you think about. We're actually moving. It's revolutionary. It changes everything. The Earth is a planet like the others. But it can be said in 2 lines. Once we have really understood something, at the end we can say it in 2 lines in a way that has it really, and the people understand what it is. So my ambition, but we're not there, would to do the same I just did with Copernicus, the same with, the standard models, special relativity, general relativity, quantum mechanics, quantum field theory, quantum gravity.
Yeah. You said in one piece, you wrote, sometimes dreams come true. I felt there was a story about the adventure of physics that had to be told, but I thought people were not interested. But you were wrong. You were dead wrong because a lot of people were interested. Millions of people have read your book. It's translated into dozens of languages. What do you think you got wrong about estimating people's interest in this subject matter?
No, I don't know. It was not just me wrong. The 7th lesson of physics was printed in 5,000 copies.
Yeah.
At the beginning. So that was the estimate of the publisher that was going to sell.
Do you think it was because you whittled down to the essence and you left out the equations?
No, I think no. I think it's because mostly because of the last chapter of the 7th. I think that's what made the book. So it's a book that is not just about physics. It's a book that tries to go down to the essence and then ask the question, all right, so what does it mean for us? How does it reflect on the way we see ourselves, and the way we think about the material, the physical world, and our